Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us for our fifth and final day of this year's GPS Navigation for Caregivers Conference. My name is Rob Fabian, and I am the Director of Marketing and Communications at Age of Central Texas. We are a regional nonprofit organization, homegrown right here in the Central Texas area, and we have programs, resources, and education and support for both older adults and for family members who are caregivers. We are very honored that the Riverbend Church asked us to join with them this year to help produce this year's 8th annual GPS Caregiver Conference. And it is my pleasure to introduce Sharon Butler with Riverbend Church. Sharon's going to tell us a little bit about the history of our conference and about all of the wonderful things that the Riverbend Church has been doing for the community.
Good morning. Thank you, Rob. On behalf of Riverbend Church, I'd like to welcome you this morning, and we're so glad that you could join us in this virtual conference. We miss seeing everybody in person. This has been a real different adventure for us, and we're looking forward to being able to be in person again. But this is such a gift to be able to be with you this way when we can't. We started the GPS conference 8 years ago with a group of family members within Riverbend and caregivers that felt a need in the community to gather this information. It's been an exciting adventure through the last 8 years, and it just gets better every year. And thank you, Rob, for joining us this year. This has been a really great partnership. We have several things going on at Riverbend that might interest you. We have a caregiver support group that meets weekly via Zoom right now. And we are in the planning stages of setting up a once a week free respite program for caregivers and their loved ones. So if you're interested in either of those two things, the contact information is in your virtual program. And you'll also have an opportunity to let us know on the survey that will be sent to you. So please give us your information if you'd like some more information on that. And Riverbend is all about inclusion and encouragement, and we're there to help you through this journey. Let us know how we can help. Go to riverbend.com. You can see what all is going on. We haven't taken a break from anything, it seems, with all the pandemic, and we have volunteers and boots on the ground all over this community, and a lot of exciting things going on. And I want to thank Cindy Cummings for being our presenting sponsor this year. We really appreciate your continued support every year, Cindy. And I wanted to also thank AARP and Jessica for being here to share caregiving information with us on this last day. So if I may, I would like to offer a blessing. As we say in our support group, we need all the help we can get. So if you would join me. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to do this, to share information with one another, to learn more about our jobs as caregivers and care partners. Today, we're going to be learning a lot about how to take care of ourselves, how to stay sane, how to do a better job on this journey. But sometimes I think we're missing the point in not asking your blessings on those we care for. Help them to feel security and comfort in our hands, and hold them in your hands through these last phases of their lives. They face challenges and fears that are very hard to determine sometimes, and help us to be cognizant and sympathetic and empathetic to that. And Father, we ask your blessing on us as we continue down this journey. Walk with us, support us. In thy name we pray, amen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sharon. And another huge thank you to Cindy Cummings with Cummings Home Team and Turnkey Transitions. Cindy is our sponsor for this entire wonderful series. And so, Cindy, we thank you for your support of not only this conference, but all the amazing things that you do in the community. And actually, right now, you are at a community event.
I am. I'm at Shred Day in Lakeway. So we offer different kinds of events. And one of the things we help people with is getting rid of their stuff. And people have a lot of paper. So it's free. We're looking for donations. The donations are going to the services of LT Senior Services. But thank you, Rob. It's been a great week. I've been able to sit and listen to many of the speakers, and they've been terrific, just as you would expect from such an event, from planning with the coordination with AGE and Riverbend Church. Cummings Home Team is a real estate team, and you probably are wondering, why are they even involved in an event like this? And real estate's a really important part of somebody's life when they're actually transitioning from their home to a community. Many of their assets are tied up in a home. So we help them with the home transaction. But what we came to learn is that it's really the things in the home that stop people from moving forward. So we have an ancillary business that's called Turnkey Transitions. We help with move management. And we're basically a project manager. I kind of laugh. We're almost like a daughter, the daughter that's not working and taking care of kids and doing other things like that. So we're that third party person that just helps get things done. There's one number to call. We help with all kinds of things, coordinating with the state sales. I'm actually a downsizing coach. I am certified to do that. And again, it's complicated when people are wanting to move from their home of 50 years. So we have all these services combined to make it easier for seniors and make it easier for their families. But again, I'm just so thrilled that I was able to be a part of it. I know it's going to be a great day today. Thank you, Jessica, for being here to speak to. And I look forward to learning what you have to say too.
And you mentioned being like a daughter, but the Cummings Home Team really is a family. It is your husband and your son who partner with you. And Cindy has done so much for the community over the years and such a valuable asset and such a great resource. And so all of the folks that you have seen throughout this week, all of the sponsors, all of the speakers, Age of Central Texas and Riverbend Church are great resources for you. So anytime after this conference, wherever you are in your journey, if you need some assistance, reach out to any of us, because we'll be able to help you navigate that part of your journey, connect you up with all of the resources that are available in the community. Cindy, thank you so very much. We really, really appreciate you.
Have a great day.
Thank you. A couple of very quick housekeeping items. We mentioned the virtual program. We're going to be sending that to you. It's also available currently online on the Age of Central Texas website, as is all of the previous sessions from this week. We are recording this session and we are going to be posting that to YouTube as well. And on Monday, we are going to send you an email with all of the links that'll have all of the sessions, all of the PowerPoints from this week, all of the resources that have been discussed in the sessions. So we're going to send that to you all in one email, so you've got it in one spot to be able to reference back to it. We're also going to send you a survey, an electronic survey, and we ask you to take just a couple of minutes to complete that. It is not very long and it will just take a couple of minutes, but the information is very important for us because it helps us for planning for next year. We want to know what are some of the topics that you would like to have for next year's conference? What are some of the issues that you are working through as a caregiver? What are some of the issues that your loved one is dealing with? Let us know so that we can find those experts and have those topics for you for next year. Finally, right down here at the bottom of your screen is your chat feature. It looks like one of those thought bubbles from the comic strip. We want you to click on that chat feature and ask your questions today. As Jessica is discussing how we can keep our sanity as caregivers, we want to find out from you, what are some of the techniques that you use? What works for you? And if Jessica says something that kind of makes you go, oh, I wonder if, ask those questions, because this conference is for you. This is why Riverbend has been doing this for 8 years. This is why we have put this together for you today. We want to give you the opportunity to ask your questions from the experts that are here today. At the end of the session today, we're going to have a Q&A, and we are going to answer all of your questions that you ask. ask. Now, we are going to be very cognizant of your time, and we are going to end at 11:30. So if for some reason we don't get to every single question, don't worry. We are still going to answer your question. We will email you directly and we will answer your question. So we are very glad that you're here today because this is going to be an incredible session. And it is my pleasure to introduce Jessica Lemann from the AARP Texas. She has been with AARP for 13 years. She started her career in Louisiana, and she was a senior program coordinator overseeing the volunteer program and with the Livable Communities team. And she specifically worked with the Holly Grove neighborhood in New Orleans following the rebuilding efforts with Hurricane Katrina. She then came here to Austin, where she became the Associate State Director of Outreach and Advocacy, a role that she continues now. She's been doing that for 10 years here in the Central Texas area. She works with the volunteers and community partners to bring AARP resources and programming to the Central Texas area. She also advocates for policies and programs that make Austin an age-friendly community for people of all ages, and works with all of organizations like Age of Central Texas and Riverbend Church, because we all have that same goal. We want Central Texas to be the best place to grow older, where you can remain independent as long as possible, and that you have the choice of communities where you can pick how your last part of your life plays out. So we are very, very excited to have Jessica with us. She's a wealth of information. Jessica, I'm going to turn it over to you so that we can talk about how, as caregivers, we can survive this craziness that has happened around us and still continue to have our best lives.
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad and grateful to be here with you today. I'm so grateful for Age of Central Texas and, of course, Riverbend Church and Cindy and her organization for bringing this to you all today. I think caregivers are incredibly important to me. They're important to the mission of AARP, and anything we can do to contribute to your ability to take care of yourself and your loved ones, we want to do that. A little bit about me as well, and why, not only is this a huge part of our mission at AARP, but for me, both of my parents were caregivers for their parents. My mother's mother had a number of chronic diseases throughout my entire life that my mother helped her manage. And then my father actually retired early when I was in high school to care for his mother. And he cared for her for the last 5 years of her life. And I always say those 5 years aged him 20. And it took a very significant toll on his health. And anything that I can do to prevent that from happening to other folks, I want to do that. And of course, now my mother is a caregiver for my father, who has Parkinson's and cancer. And I, as part of that kind of caregiving team that I'll talk about, really part of what I see the best thing I can do is to support my mother and to keep her healthy and safe and sane while she does a very, difficult but important job of taking care of my dad, who I love very much. So this is incredibly important to me, not just professionally, but on a personal level. And I thank all of you for taking the time, because I know that's not easy to be here today. The work of a caregiver can be incredibly emotionally, physically, and financially draining. And it is a round the clock, nonstop effort. Without a self-care plan that ensures that your own needs are met, caregivers often find their work takes a significant and sometimes untenable personal toll, as I have personally seen. On any given month in the US, there are 42 million family caregivers caring for their parents, spouses, and partners, adult children, friends, and neighbors, performing intense medical nursing tasks like medication management and wound care. They're helping with a myriad of life issues like legal and financial matters, housekeeping, transportation, shopping, socialization, and mental and physical health. The average caregiver provides 20 hours of care per week. It's a part-time job, and while care is valued at more than $450 billion a year, the paycheck is zero. So nearly 3/4 have also worked a paid job while caregiving. So it's this juggling act, and the needs tend to fall to the bottom of the list, leaving caregivers stressed and vulnerable themselves. So we know that we can't take care of others if we don't take care of ourselves. But doing so often feels like such an insurmountable challenge. So my hope is that today I can provide you all with some tips to ensure that you as a caregiver are also taking care of invaluable you. Because you are priceless. You can't put a number on how valuable you are. So my first tip, and it's one that's really hard, but it's so important, and that is to get help. No caregiver can do it alone, and many tend to be very isolated. So it is essential that you connect with others and build your caregiving team. This involves putting together a list of individuals in your family or friend network, and services in your community that can help you perform some of these key caregiving tasks. So while there may be one primary family caregiver, identify other family members, friends, and/or neighbors who can check in and help with shopping or important errands. Obviously, we want to, especially particularly the person that you're caring for, we want to keep them home and out of public spaces as much as possible. But there are services, take advantage of services like Meals on Wheels. One thing that has improved with the pandemic is the ability to order our groceries online. There are groceries that deliver, there are pharmacies that deliver, and they've streamlined those processes. And that alone can take some of the burden off of your plate of things that maybe you were doing before that were really tough to do. For example, when my father was caring for his mother, she lived about an hour away. He would spend the day there, come home, but there were a number of teenagers that lived in the area. He had someone helping cut her grass. He had her next door neighbor. They had kind of like a baby monitor that they would listen when he would come home at night. And sometimes he would pay their daughter to spend the night in her house just to keep an eye on her if she had been having a rough time that day. So obviously that's a little bit more difficult now, but there are different ways to kind of monitor and be there and have someone ready to get in if you can't be there yourself. So it's putting together that team to help support you as the primary caregiver, provide the best care for your loved ones. And then help not only to support your loved ones, but to support you, the caregiver. Someone that can help you with your own errands and your housekeeping and yard work. I started cutting our grass when my dad was spending all his time helping his mother. And to this day, I love cutting grass. It's like a meditation. It's one of those chores that I don't want to give up because I actually really enjoy it. And I started doing that to help out my parents when they were busy caring for theirs. And also, in terms of getting help, if you're sad or depressed, do not be afraid to seek professional counseling or support groups. As we know, Riverbend has virtual Zoom support groups. There are a number of caregiver support groups that can help you. And we were talking before this started, and I always think the best resource for a caregiver is another caregiver, someone else that's going through something similar that has figured out what works for them, and then sharing that information. So reaching out to other caregivers is incredibly important. And also just having someone to talk to that also understands what you're going through. The number two thing that's incredibly important as a caregiver and that will protect your sanity and allow you to do other things is to get organized. Getting organized can save your sanity the most. You're more efficient if your paperwork, your home, and your mind are organized. So take some time up front to get your paperwork, your schedule, your caregiving tasks organized, and that will then free up time in the long run to allow you to do other things. It will make it easier for you to get help if you have everything organized. And at the end, I'll show you some resources AARP has online to help you do that. But create systems and use technology Technology has now, as you know, has come a long way, and it offers great advantages for today's caregivers. There are many apps and websites that can help you manage your caregiving team and track your loved one's care, medications, and care plans. Some that are AARP's expert kind of caregiver uses, she recommends Evernote and Dropbox. These are just two examples of some apps that you can keep all of your documents and records and your schedule all in one place, and you can control who gets to see them. But that allows your care team to step in and have what they need to do so. You can calendar out meal schedules. So who's going to someone can help bring meals every night to take that off your plate. Even if they're not coming in the house, they can leave, you can have a meal, someone, your sister brings meals every Tuesday night and they can leave them on the porch for you to get in, but that's one less thing that you have to do. And having this technology can help you plan those things out and plan and decide who's going to perform which task without necessarily having to be physically together. You can do that while still maintaining a physical distance. Also, part of getting organized is inventorying, and something that we've seen with these crises being layered on top of each other is having an inventory of essential items. Determine how much food, medication, basic supplies the person you're caring for has on hand. We recommend, if possible, having a 2-week supply of food, water, house cleaning supplies, medical materials, and equipment. That way, when like the weather event we had last week, you're not scrambling to get these things and fighting with everyone else at the grocery store, because what we know is you couldn't get a grocery delivery or a curbside pickup last week. If you needed something, you had to physically get there and sort of dig for it with everyone else. So knowing that you have a supply on hand just takes that stress off of you. You know that you have what you need for a little while if something comes up, and that you don't have to worry about that. And that's really important. Also, again, having your medications in order, or your loved one's medications in order, and even asking for extra. So as a starting point, make sure you have a list of medications, medical contacts, and important information like allergies. And have that information at your fingertips. And then having an extra 30-day supply of essential medications on hand. And this includes over-the-counter medication, like your cough suppressants, your fever-reducing drugs, like acetaminophen. But talk to your doctor. Obviously, there may not be, not everything would your doctor allow you or write a prescription for, but talk to them about what you can have an extra 30-day supply of. And again, even if nothing happens, you have peace of mind knowing that you're prepared. And again, that organization allows you to have others step in when you need help. So number 3, take breaks. Again, it may seem easier said than done, but every caregiver needs respite, a break from caregiving tasks. Taking a break can renew your energy and make you a better caregiver with a fresh perspective. Respite may be a few minutes, a few hours, a day or two, a week or longer, but it often involves someone else taking over your responsibilities for a period of time so you can take care of yourself. Respite care may come from family or friends, volunteers, or paid caregivers. So again, contact your local agency on aging, and of course, Age of Central Texas, your church community to find out if there are organized respite programs in your area. Now, I understand right now, these in-person respite adult day cares aren't necessarily an option. But familiarize yourself with what's available to you. And if your loved one is a veteran, there may be some programs through Veterans Affairs. But still, you can try to partner with a family member, making sure they have properly quarantined, just to give yourself a break, because you still need to do that. There are ways to think about how you can bring another family member in to give you a break and do so safely. And also sometimes respite doesn't mean taking a trip to the Bahamas, although that's awesome and we all want to do that. It can be a simple thing like just stopping to hug your loved ones, playing music, watching a movie together, reading with your loved ones, connecting with nature, or just closing your eyes while they nap, but taking a moment to not be their caregiver, but to just be there with them. Can feel like respite, and to kind of put those roles aside and be with your loved one. The next thing, and again, to get this respite, it always is going to come back to being willing to ask for help and being organized. So that's why those are 1 and 2, and you'll hear me go back to that again. The next thing is accept your limitations. You are one person, and there are 24 hours in a day, and that is the reality. So some of the ways, some things to think about is to prioritize. As a caregiver, there will always be too much to do. So part of something to ease your stress and keep yourself high on your own list is to prioritize and reprioritize often. Be realistic about 3 things you can accomplish every day without taking your own self-care off the list. And then set healthy boundaries. Saying no is probably one of the hardest things for many caregivers. The needs of your loved ones can be so great, and you may not just have your loved one that you're the primary caregiver for, but you may have other family members. You may be in that sort of sandwich generation where you have children at home, plus a parent that you're caring for, as my parents were. And there are a lot of needs, and a lot of people need things. But as a caregiver, you are also vulnerable. Your physical and mental health is vulnerable. So set and communicate reasonable and responsible boundaries around caregiving tasks, as well as other areas in your life. I think one thing that we've seen, particularly I think with working parents who are working from home and their kids are home, is that balance is a myth. And it's okay to not be able to do it all. Your best is enough. So don't forget that. Next is monitoring your mindset. Caregiving can be an emotional roller coaster. There's fear, guilt, anger, discouragement, and worry, and it can feel overwhelming. But you also have feelings of great joy and fulfillment and satisfaction. So keep in mind that you can't control everything that happens in your caregiving situation, but you can control your mindset. And doing so is a fundamental part of taking care of yourself. Notice and create joy for yourself and your loved ones. It's not just a nice thing to do for caregivers, it's a crucial survival skill. So understand that despite your best efforts at prevention, changes in your loved one's condition will occur. And instead of feeling defeated by change, make your goal being adaptable and resilient. Ride the waves of change and you'll feel more successful and effective as a caregiver. So part of this I mentioned is noticing and creating joy. You can do this by celebrating every accomplishment, every holiday, every transformation. And this doesn't mean killing yourself to make everything magical. So celebrating a holiday does not mean you have to provide holiday magic for everyone in your family, but still celebrate it in a way that's manageable for you. If there was a feeding tube situation and now there's not, that's huge. Take the time to celebrate that. If there's an improvement, again, find joy in all of those things. You can also create joy through music and games, being silly with each other, starting a gratitude practice, either for yourself or, with your loved one that you're caring for. What are 10 things every day that you're thankful for? Sometimes it's a really great blanket, or a scented candle, or just noticing small acts of kindness that others do. A smile or a hug, or sometimes, as I mentioned before, it's being with your loved one rather than doing for them, taking that role off and just of I'm a caregiver and you're the person I'm caring for, and just being with them. Also, filling your own tank. We don't expect our cars to run without fuel, but we often expect ourselves to provide care without a lot of energy. We run ourselves into the ground. And as caregivers, you must find ways to nurture yourself, so you have those reserves to handle your caregiving tasks. Only you know what works best to release stress and fill your tank. It could be journaling, exercising, taking time to do a Zoom call, a Zoom happy hour with your friends, connecting with other caregivers via these online caregiver support groups right now. It's engaging with nature, watching a movie, and again, enjoying music. I love music. I miss live music so much, but I still play music every day. And sometimes if we're just having a hard time, it's a dance party. And Neil Diamond will put me in a good mood every single day. So what is that music or that TV show or that thing that brings you to life or your loved one to life and that can put a smile on their face? Have a list of kind of these quick fixes that you know can turn your mood around, and these larger efforts that you need. Maybe it's a massage. It's, I'm physically tired and I need this help. But whatever it is, to reach, kind of fill that tank up and try to avoid burnout. And when you're just feeling like I'm going to explode, pull out that list and do something on that list. If it's a walk, if it's music, whatever, but make sure to fill your tank up. And then maintaining your identity. I know I can. Have you ever lost yourself in caregiving? Have you ever lost yourself as a parent? Have you ever lost yourself as one of these roles that we put on ourselves? It's vital that you maintain your interests and hobbies, your personal relationships, and your personal identity. You can't put life on hold while caregiving, although I think it feels like right now everyone's life is on hold, but find things that you can still access. This is your life today, right here, right now. This is what you have. So, right now we need to adapt, but don't lose them altogether. Remember what lights you up, and because they are part of what make you so wonderful. They are part of what make you you, and the person that you are, and they can help you ease your stress. And then, but not just mindset. Physical health is incredibly important. I know we can't do a show of hands, but how many of you have canceled your own health appointments in order to care for a loved one, or just not scheduled something that you needed to get done? Some of your primary care, preventative care appointments that you've just said, I'll get to it later. I'll do that next year. This happens very often. Many caregivers actually wind up needing care themselves because they often put their loved one's needs above their own. But who will care for your loved one if you're ill? So keep up with these preventative medical appointments, your tests, your immunizations, your medications. And if you have a health concern, please address it and keep up with your treatment plan. One of the things that happened with my father, I said he cared for his mother for about 5 years, did not take great care of himself. And within a few weeks after she passed away, he ended up having emergency surgery. It was an 8-hour surgery. They ended up removing some of his colon and his intestines, and he had a colostomy bag for several weeks. And there's something about a the bag that just wreaks havoc on at least the men in my life who have had them. It wreaks havoc on their mental health. And, he has recently lost his mom. I think there's this sort of depression that was already there. And then his own health had declined because he hadn't been taking care of himself. And there are things that he noticed that I'll take care of it later, until he couldn't anymore. And so it's so important that you maintain your own health during, this time. So when you feel like you're spiraling down, again, and go back to the basics: adequate sleep, healthy nutrition. And if you ask 10 different nutritionists, they'll tell you 10 different ways to eat. But so the best I can tell you there is whole foods, fruits, vegetables. If it came from someone told me once, if it came from the ground or if it has a mother, it's probably okay. Unless you're vegan, you don't want it to have a mother. But if it comes from a box, it's less so. We all do what we can, but try to focus as much as you can on kind of getting those whole foods in. Exercise, whether it's walking, yoga, whatever you enjoy is the exercise you should do. Drinking enough water. I keep this with me. It's like a gallon jug the size of my head, and I don't always finish it every day, but I try. Have fun, make time for fun. And of course, your faith. Keeping up with your faith is very important during this time. And then relaxation and meditation. And a lot of this you can access completely free online. There are so many health and wellness apps out there and YouTube. You can find yoga on YouTube. You can find breathing and meditations on YouTube. There's an app called Insight Timer that I use. It's free. I think there's a paid version and a free version, but I use the free version, and it has a number of meditations on there. I really like Yoga Nidra. It's a full body scan that helps you check in with yourself, and it relaxes you, and it's great before bedtime. There's Calm and Headspace. And now we have, the churches have done a great job of pivoting to this digital kind of physical distance. So you can watch your church services now online with your loved ones. And maybe that was something you were missing out before because you couldn't go. And now you have the opportunity to do that online. So again, take care of your physical health, your physical and your mental health, and because you need it, and we need you, and your loved ones need you. And then the kind of the last tip is to remember your why. Why are you doing this? Stop and consciously focus on the reason you're a caregiver. This is deep love and a sense of responsibility. You don't have to be doing this. No one does, but you have chosen to be here in this role at this time in your life. And you're doing this because it's what's right for you. And that helps make the craziness kind of fade in importance. And even if you feel like you didn't have a choice, there are folks who don't have someone to care for them, and you are choosing this, and just remember, kind of go back to that why. And that certainly kind of will help you when you're kind of in those really hard times. So I want to show you some resources. So I'm going to share my screen and show you some resources that AARP has put together to help you with some of these things. So let me see. Here we go. All right, 1 second. All right, can folks see my screen? Rob, can you just give me a heads up if you can see my screen right now?
I can see it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I'm going to start here. You can go to aarp.org/caregiving, and we have a number of resources. But we have one guide in particular that I want to show you. It's called the AARP Prepare to Care Guide. And we have it in English, in Spanish, in Chinese. There's an Asian American guide. It's in English, but culturally relevant to that particular population. We have a military guide for veterans and service members and their families. And we also have an LGBT guide, because a lot of every group has unique needs. And so we've tried to create information that folks can tailor to their specific experiences. And I have pulled up just our general Prepare to Care guide. And I want to show you the table of contents. So it has, and you can, and this is just a PDF you can get online. You can also order it. There's some information on the website about how to order it, and we'll mail you a copy. And So there's starting the conversation, how to put together your team, how to make your plan, how to find support, caring for yourself. And then my favorite part, because I love a checklist. Checklists are my most favorite things. If I don't have a to-do list every day, I don't get anything done. So I'm going to go down and just show you some of the checklists that we have put together that can help you get organized. And again, having that organization piece is what can really help you bring others into your team and feel like they can do what you can do. So there's kind of this goals and needs, a general assessment, and then you can take this and then put it into a Dropbox, or you can actually write it down physically in this and share it with your loved ones. But information checklist of where everything, all those are kind of important information pieces that you want to keep safe and only with folks who need to know, but having it in one place so you're not constantly looking all over to find information. Health checklists. So just a medication chart, transportation, financial checklist, just a caregiving plan, a sample of a caregiving plan. So I encourage you to check that out. It's a great way to help yourself get organized. Let's see, I'm gonna move this. Okay, and then we looked at the Prepare to Care guide. Hold on, there is one other thing I wanted to show you all down here, and then other resources for caregivers. So finding local caregiver resources by state, guides to help take the stress out of family caregiving. There's an online community, and I love this guide. So let's see if it'll. So this guides for caregiving. There's help for first-time caregivers, help caring for a loved one at home, help for common caregiving conflicts. So sometimes, you and your sibling may have very different ideas about what is best for mom or dad, or you and your child may have different ideas for what's best for your spouse. And so how to navigate those conflicts and kind of work together. And I always say, remember, you're doing this with your loved ones. We have a saying, to, for, with. You're not doing it to somebody, you're not doing for somebody, but you're doing with somebody. So don't ever forget to to ask the person you're caring for what they want as well, and do that early and often. Long distance, how you can be helpful, long distance caregiving, caring for a loved one with cancer and dementia. So these are just some, go online, aarp.org/prepare to care /caregiving. You'll all come to a number of these resources. And so we have, again, don't forget self-care while caregiving, COVID-19 resources. And then something new that I wanted to show you that AARP just came out with. This is a new resource. This is the financial, let's see, make this bigger. The Financial Workbook for Family Caregivers, a practical guide focused on health, housing, and money management. So you can see there's a number of resources in here that can help you, because it's more than just keeping your loved one physically comfortable. You may end up as a caregiver managing quite a lot of things, not just their physical comfort, but their finances. So how to do that, Cindy is a great resource for that as well. But I just wanted to share this with you so you know that it is available to you to help you get organized. So with that, I think it's what I told Rob before this, what we mentioned before we got started, is I love in-person caregiving conferences because, let me stop sharing. The most important, the best resource for a caregiver is another caregiver. And so when you're sitting at a table with someone, sharing your experiences, they can talk about what has worked for them. maybe you haven't thought about, and then you share that back and forth. And so I want you all to feel like you can do that even in this virtual environment. So not only, please, as Rob said, not only, share your questions because we want to answer them, but also please share what is working for you and what is saving your sanity, what is making your life a little bit easier as a caregiver, because other folks might not have thought of that or not be aware, and you really are such a great resource to each other. So I encourage you to put those in the comments or in the chat. And I think with that, Rob, we can kind of start the interactive part of our session.
Terrific. Yeah, please type into the chat. Let us know what are some of the techniques that you use. What is your go-to that helps you in your caregiving journey? Ingrid says that she likes being outside even for a few minutes every day, that it helps with mental health. Just being around something green and seeing the sky makes a big difference. And so share with us what is it that you do? What makes you feel like you can take a breath for a moment? And we will share those with everyone else. We had a question about finding resources in Houston specifically. Person was asking if there were churches in Houston that provide caregiving programming and assistance. We did a quick Google search and found several places. If you just type in Houston Church Caregiving, you're going to find a whole litany of places. Houston's First Baptist Church, First Presbyterian, Christ Church Cathedral, and St. Luke's Methodist all have caregiving ministries and specific programs that are available there. But also, Jessica, as you mentioned, Area Agency on Aging is a really good resource if you are a long distance caregiver. For those of you who are not familiar with Area Agency on Aging, it is the pass-through money of the Older Americans Act. And so every major city in the US has an area agency on aging. Some of them have more than one if it's a large area. The idea is that every square inch of the US is served by at least one area agency on aging. The one here in Austin is the Area Agency on Aging of the capital area. They serve 13 counties. I believe that's the correct number. But they have a tremendous amount of support that can help you. You can contact them and get resources specific to the area. So let's say mom's living in Houston. You just Google for Area Agency on Aging Houston. It'll bring up their contact. Get in touch with them because they're going to know all the resources that are available on the ground in that area. So they're going to be a really good partner for you. And of course, the AARP in each of the states is a tremendous resource as well. We constantly are referring people to the AARP website because the resources that are there for caregivers are just astounding. The Prepare to Care booklet is one that we actually use in our education programming because it is just amazing. So take advantage of those great resources. They're there specifically for you to be able to access. We've created them for you, so be sure that you take a chance to use those. Got a question.
Oh, can I mention something real quick about finding resources as well? AARP, if you go to aarp.org/CRF, we have partnered with the Alzheimer's Association on a community resource finder. So there are tabs, just lost it, programs and events from Alzheimer's and AARP, but there's finding care at home, medical services, housing options, community services. And so you can click on some of those headings at this community resource finder and put in your location, and that can help as well. I mean, I definitely would start with Area Agency on Aging, but I wanted to plug that AARP community resource finder as something that could be helpful. And then Rob, do you recommend also, I don't know, I had this mentioned, but again, like I said, the Area Agency on Aging is great, but what about 211? Can 211 also be helpful in finding services for folks?
Yes, most definitely. 211 in urban areas, 311 in the rural areas. That is your United Way. That they can provide you with services for anything that's happening in your world. They can connect you up with those services. So that's always a great place to go as well.
And they can
Uh,
get you to the area agency on aging. So if you don't have access to kind of Google or find that out, call 211 and say, can you connect me to my area agency on aging? And they could do that, right?
Correct. Yes, most definitely. And in fact, Rhonda Thompson from Area Agency on Aging of the Capital Area is joining us today as a participant. She says that the Capital Area serves Bastrop, Blanco, Burnett, Caldwell, Fayette, Hayes, Lee, Llano, Travis, and Williamson County. So there you go. That's our one right here in our backyard. And they are a tremendous, wonderful wealth of information. They have got a fantastic resource center. They also have a group of benefits counselors that can help you with your Medicare, your Medicaid, and veterans benefits. So they are really great ones to connect with. Got a couple of specific caregiving questions here. Got a question on how do you determine when you need to get outside help in caring for your older loved one or for your spouse? What's a good trigger that tells you, okay, I need to reach out and get somebody to help me?
You know, Rob, and I would love to hear from you as well, but I think it's when you physically and mentally are feeling really challenged. Sometimes those activities of daily living that we help our loved ones with, if you can't get them up or down, if you are hurting yourself trying to help with those physical tasks, that's definitely, I think, a key indicator that getting possibly a home help assistant in can do that. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a nurse. There's home care attendants that can help with those activities of daily living to take that physical strain off of you, so you don't end up needing care yourself. And then when it's just mentally too challenging, and I know that's a harder barometer to read because we want to feel like we can do it all. But definitely when you need physical assistance, that's when I would, bring someone in.
Yeah, certainly when safety is an issue.
Mhm.
You had mentioned in the presentation talking about how that we as family caregivers have never been really trained in a lot of the medical requirements of being a caregiver. We have caregivers who are having to give shots to their loved one. They're having to deal with feeding tubes and dealing with wound care and things that, we're not medical professionals. No one really taught us how to do this. Something as simple as helping a parent in and out of the bathtub can be incredibly dangerous for the caregiver. And that's something that we're not trained in as caregivers. I will give a plug here that in March, the last week of March into the first week of April, we are going to be bringing back our caregiver training camp that AGE did last year with the Williamson County EMS. We created that in partnership with them because they were having this issue in rural Williamson County, having to go out on a lot of calls that were non-emergency, but they were caregivers who were having issues that they were not trained to handle. And so we brought in experts to do a one-day workshop on all of these types of things. And so we're going to do it again. We're going to do it virtual. And this information is going to be in your virtual program. So we encourage you to register for that conference because, again, it's going to be free. But one of the sessions, we're bringing in Dr. Amy Walters from South University. And she teaches physical and occupational therapy and trains nurses and the students at the university who will become nurses and occupational therapists. She's going to be going live with her students, and we are going to demonstrate how you use durable medical equipment. How do you get someone in and out of the tub and in and out of the bath, off the bed, in and out of a chair, in and out of the car, all these things that no one ever taught us how to do. We're going to teach you how to do them safely. So that's a tremendous opportunity. And I think also, as you mentioned, you know, we are not super people. And as caregivers, no one ever asked us to be martyrs. And especially for those of us that are caring with loved ones who have dementia, we feel like we have to do everything, and we don't. You know, if our loved one could tell us, they would tell you, I didn't want this for you. I didn't want this type of life for you to have to be in this position. And so there is never, ever any shame of saying, I'm over my head, I need help.
Mhm. Absolutely. I want to also plug something that we worked on a few legislative sessions ago, and that's called the CARE Act. So if you have a loved one that has been in the hospital and is being discharged, it is not acceptable for the hospital to give you a pamphlet and send you on your way. They are to identify a family caregiver and give you every demonstration and help you need to perform those medical tasks at home. So if you don't feel like you're getting that, you know, if your loved one is being discharged and like, here's a pamphlet on how to give a shot or how to clean the feeding tube, say no.
Right.
They are required to give you demonstrations and make sure you know exactly and feel comfortable performing those tasks at home. So again, reach out to AARP.org Texas /Texas if you're having a problem with that, and we can connect you and make sure that you're getting what you need, because that's really, really important. Yeah, caregivers are asked to do quite a lot of things that they weren't trained for.
Right. And sometimes as the caregiver, you need to advocate for yourself in those situations. So if you are discharging with your loved one from the hospital, find the social worker at the hospital. Every hospital has one, and the social worker should check in with you before you discharge, but tell the social worker, I am the caregiver of record,
Mhm.
so that they know, and tell them, you know, I need you to show me, I need the nurse to show me exactly how to do this. Because like you said, it's now a law that they're required to, but you know, we understand that the hospital is just completely overrun right now, and sometimes they just might forget. And so you need to advocate for yourself and say, before I walk out this door, I need you to show me, how do I do this wound care change? How do I change this dressing? And they will do it, most certainly. But sometimes you need to advocate for yourself on that. We've got another question here from a caregiver who is taking care of their mom, and mom is not having it with the care. That she won't wear her hearing aid, she won't take her meds. How do you work with your loved one who just doesn't want the help, but you know they need the help?
That is so hard. That is really, you know, it is tough. And then you feel like you're doing everything. Sometimes it also makes you feel less appreciated because you're trying. And it's keep trying. And this is really an area where another caregiver who has experienced this can say, okay, this works. Because you don't want to, sometimes you have to be sneaky. You have to work, but you know, having them feel involved. And I think my best advice, and again, this is where we want to hear from others who have been successful at overcoming this challenge, is um, plan their care with them involved. It needs to feel like it's their idea. They need to feel a part of it. The worst thing is feeling like people are doing things to you.
Yep.
And so the more you can create what feels like and it should be a true partnership, that you are working together for their best interest, and you are that they feel like their needs and their wants have been considered and are valued, I think certainly helps get them on board with the plan.
Yeah, we in one of the earlier sessions this week, we also discussed the possibility of using a third-party person to help with that conversation. We know as the children of our parents, it's very difficult a lot of times to have those conversations. And, you know, the parents still see us as their kids.
Yeah.
in many ways, even though the roles have reversed now and we have become the parent who
Mhm.
is taking care of the parent. But for a lot of times, you may say it 20 times and it just doesn't sink in, and then someone else says it and the parent goes, "Oh yeah, I should do that." And you're going, "Whoa."
Mhm.
But sometimes that's what it takes.
Right.
Someone that the parent would trust, a neighbor, their minister, bring their doctor into this conversation. Talk with the doctor and say, "I'm really concerned. Mom will not wear her hearing aid, and I'm concerned that she's going to have a fall because loss of hearing is a major cause of falls in older adults, and we know that 1 out of 4 older adults in the U.S. has a fall every year, and a lot of times they do not come back home after those falls." So,
Yeah,
bring the doctor in, have the
credentials are
conversation.
helpful. Someone with a credential, um, it makes them feel comfortable and trusted, where with you, it's you're not the boss of me.
Right. And when you're utilizing the doctor, ask the doctor to write a prescription for it, even
That's
if
a
it's
great
something
idea.
that has to do with that's not medical. Obviously taking your meds, that's something you need to do. But if it's something outside of that, I can give you a hearing aid, but I can't make you wear it. Well, write a prescription that says you have to wear your hearing aid when you're awake.
Yeah.
Um, and then the doctor says you need to do this because it's going to allow you to still stay at home so that we don't have to move to an assisted living.
Yeah.
So utilize that third partner. That sometimes helps out in those situations. We had asked folks to share with us what they do that helps them through their journey. One person says that the one thing that their husband, dad, and themselves find very helpful is that their neighbor and their daughter share a puppy dog that has some of the same medical issues as their dog. And so they can share the puppy. Uh, and that's that they have weekend rights to the puppy. So that's something that's really wonderful. Neighbors are really fantastic, and especially if you haven't learned that after our cold snap, this really helped bring people together. So that
Yeah.
is really wonderful.
And like I said, my grandmother's neighbors were a huge help. I mean, my dad relied so heavily on her neighbors to help. And so
Yeah, and my parents did as well. One person says they find that listening to songs that they love that make them cry actually helps. And sometimes we just need that. Get it out. And so listening to songs that make me cry is the trigger. Do it. They also like going on to YouTube and finding long playing videos of Tibetan temple bells,
yes.
the healing bowls. Just we talked about music and how important that is, and it's very useful in working with older adults who have dementia because music is part of those long term memories that can still be triggered. And it's the same for us as caregivers. We have long-term memories associated with certain songs,
Mhm.
and being able to utilize that music that makes us feel good, that makes us remember a certain time or a certain place, and utilizing that is a free and easy and simple thing to do because it takes us out of the moment and takes us into a place that was really happy for us. And so that's always a great thing as well. And another person emphasizing sleep. If you're not getting enough sleep, you're just not taking care of yourself. And, that leads me to a question. For as caregivers, a lot of times it's very hard to find that time for self-care.
Mhm.
You know, um, we're always being told, take care of yourself first, put on your oxygen mask first, take care of yourself first. And we're like,
You're
yeah,
said
great.
that.
I hear you. When?
Mhm.
When am I going to do that?
Mhm.
So what are a couple of good tips on carving out that time and making sure we do take care of
Mhm.
ourselves?
You know, and when we have that time that we're using it to take care of ourselves, right? Because sometimes maybe we do get an hour, but we're trying to think of like we're getting through that to-do list instead of taking care of ourselves. So I think, as they say with new moms, sleep when the baby sleeps. If your loved one is, when they go to sleep, try to go to, you try to get your sleep when they get their sleep. Because sometimes we know they're up and down at night. So if they nap during the day, take that time for you not to go run an errand, even though you need to, because we all have 1,000 things to do. But when they have a break, if they're napping, if they're being relaxed, then you need to take that time to relax for yourself, whether it's your journal, whether it's you taking a nap, maybe it's getting up an hour before they get up or going to bed, just an hour, but you're still getting sleep, to just have a quiet mental break, that you're not running through your to-do list, but you are truly, everything can wait. The groceries can come tomorrow. This other thing you can order tomorrow, you can, things can wait. If you have an hour, take care of you. And again, bringing other people in is so important. So, I know it's not, so maybe don't pay a lawn care service, but there's a kid down the street that'll cut your grass for cheaper than the lawn care service. Ask him to, do it. Get help where you can. If it's someone, your gutters need cleaning out, pay the kid down the street to do it instead of trying to fit that one extra thing onto your list. Those are the things. And again, being that organization piece really helps. That's what helps. Okay, mom needs to go to the doctor today. You might have a sister who can do it because you have everything ready to give to her.
Mhm.
I know we don't think anyone else can do things as good as we do, but she won't take notes like I do. Yes, she will. She will. Give her a notepad with the instructions and let her take mom so you can do whatever you need to do to take care of yourself.
Yeah, I think it boils down to, you just have to be mindful. You have to, make your schedule and say, okay, this is going to be my time.
Put it in your schedule. Schedule it.
Yeah.
If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't happen. So put it on the calendar.
Right. And find those times within your daily routine. If you've got mom, dad, husband, and wife with you 24/7, and you're taking care of them the whole day, find times within that routine where you can take some time to you. Let's say that mom likes watching Wheel of Fortune.
Mm-hmm.
All right, great. Put mom in front of the TV with Wheel of Fortune. You got 30 minutes to you.
Yeah.
Don't go do the dishes. Don't go do that. They'll be there later. It's your turn. This is your 30-minute time. This is for you.
And and don't feel guilty about how you use that time.
Right.
If it is scrolling through Instagram and that's what gives you a mind break, do that. Or you don't feel like, well, I need to work out. I think working out's really important. And I try to get 30 minutes of strength training in 3 times a week. Not a ton, but it's important. But whatever brings you comfort, don't have guilt about that, whether it's knitting or Netflix. There is no right or wrong way to give yourself a break.
Yeah. And again, remember, there's a lot of things that you can share with your loved one, that they may be things that you enjoy doing. Share them with them. Do them together. That way you get them in, and your loved one gets to participate in something with you.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of things that you can do together, when COVID first started, Age of Central Texas created a page on our website of things that you can share at home with your loved one. And we've been updating it over the past several months. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of links of things that you can do. You can go to our website at ageofcentraltx.org, and up at the top, there's the link for activities you can share at home. Click on that and take a look. There is everything from live feeds from the zoos and the aquariums and bald eagles out in the forest, to virtual tours of museums all over the globe. There are links that you can click for activities that you can do. There's just a wealth of things there. So if you're finding yourself at a loss of things to do, we got a whole list that's great for you. Another comment here on how to be able to do all of this stuff is to put together a care team around you, put together your village,
Yep.
and look for people who might be able to do a specific task. You know, you talked about having the kid down the street come and mow the lawn. Well, maybe you need somebody who can, like you said, the sister who can take mom to the doctor for me. Or maybe it's somebody who can go and pick up the meds at CVS or HEB. Or maybe it's just the person I need to be able to text and say, I'm going to pull all my hair out, and they can talk you off the ledge. You know, who's that?
Dinner
friend
drop-offs
or
every
thing.
night. Yeah, I don't want to make dinner every night.
Yeah,
I don't want
someone
to
who
do
might,
it.
yeah. So maybe put together your team of 3 or 5 people who have a specific skill that they are willing to share with you.
Because people just want to help. I think, there are loved ones. I know we all have that family member that doesn't, but for the most part, people do want to help. They want to support you. They don't always know what to do, so you have to ask. That unfortunately, we often put the onus on the person who needs help to ask for it. Where it would be great if people just offered and said, hey, I'm going to bring dinner every Wednesday night. But folks don't always know to do that. So be vocal about what is helpful. And I promise you, there are folks that want to help meet that need.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Be specific in what you're asking for. Instead of saying to the sister, can you help me? That's very open-ended, and the sister's thinking, I don't want mom living with me. But if you say to the sister, can you help me by taking mom once a month to the doctor? Can you help me by on Saturday, maybe come over for dinner and help me fix dinner so that I don't have to do that? Ask for something, ask at the specific, and at least that way you've got the ball rolling. And if they say no, don't take it personally. Not every one of us is cut out to be a caregiver, and we know that by family relations. And that brings up another question here that someone says they're taking care of their mother-in-law, and the 5 siblings who don't talk to each other and fight all the time are now fighting with them. They're telling them they're doing everything wrong, yet they are not offering any assistance at all. How do you deal with those family members who say, you're doing it all wrong, but I'm not going to help you?
Well, trying to think what the diplomatic answer would be. So again, those are hard. I am going to go back. I'm pulling it up. Help for common, on our website, we have help for common caregiving conflicts. And there's a list of different situations that can help, that kind of it talks through. But also, maybe this is the opportunity for that third party person to come in and help mediate. Sometimes family members don't necessarily trust each other, but they might trust a third, another party or a doctor that says, hey, this is what I think. These are the key things that need to be done to help your loved one. And then say, okay, the doctor this is what the doctor said needs to be done, not what I'm just making up out of my own head, but here's what the doctor says. So can you take this piece? Mm-hmm. Or I'm going to take these pieces. Now back off, or take one and participate. I mean, that's really hard because people are people, and some people just, I don't want to say people suck, but sometimes they do.
Yeah.
Family's hard. And so you have to get a thick skin and make a decision of, mom said I'm the primary caregiver, and so this is how we're going to do it. Or say, look, then what are you going to do to help?
Yeah, sometimes you need to bring in a third party to help mediate the situation if it starts getting to be too much. But, understand that as caregivers, we have our loved ones' best interests at heart. We always do. And never ever look back after the fact in hindsight and say, oh, I wish I had. Because you didn't have that information. You didn't have that knowledge. You made the best choice with the information that you had. And that's the right choice. Mm-hmm. So never look back and say, oh, I wish I had. No, you did the right thing in the moment. So always remember that. And, if you've got family who are just making you insane, just sometimes you have to say, back off, I've
Yeah.
got this.
Just don't
So,
answer the phone.
yeah.
Like, oh, I'm not
Another
going to take this
person
call
who,
today.
going back to our conversation about how you've got a loved one who doesn't want the help. One person says flipping the conversation can be helpful as well. Instead of saying, I need to do this for you, Mom, can you help me
Mhm.
by whatever? And
Yeah.
so letting, again, having them participate, but flipping instead of I'm trying to do this for you, flip it so that, Mom, will you help me?
Yeah.
And then that takes a lot of that stigma out of there as well.
Because
Another
remember, they
person,
love you too.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and so then that gives them makes them feel like they are the one who is providing the care.
Mhm.
And so that kind of helps ease that for their mind as well. They don't feel like they have become the burden. Another person says that their mom lives with them and calls every time she has a specific need. And says, I used to jump up immediately and tend to everything till my husband reminded me that I don't have to treat every call as an emergency. So now I just kind of triage the immediate need. Is it something urgent, or is it something that I can do in a few minutes? And says that has really helped me with my sanity, that I don't feel like I have to jump up every single second.
That is a really great point. To kind of to manage expectations, I think, is helpful too. That comes to that setting boundaries piece, and you acknowledge the request. Hey, Mom, I heard you.
Yeah.
Or husband or spouse or sister or whoever you're caring for, acknowledge it, but get to it when you can get to it if it is not an emergency.
Yeah. Yeah. Mom, do you need this right this very second? Okay, let me finish up with the dinner, and I'll get it for you in a minute. But I made myself a note, and I'll take care of it.
Yes.
So yeah, I think you're right that just acknowledging that you hear them makes a great big difference. Question on how do you have a conversation with your family member, older family member, when there are things that they can no longer do? For example, take care of their finances.
Right.
How do you start broaching the subject on those types of things? Because these are hard conversations a lot of times to have, and they're very personal. And we don't want to talk about, so Mom, if you have to move into assisted living, what do you want? How do we start having those conversations?
That's hard. So, taking away the keys sometimes.
Yes,
Those
yes.
kind of first hard, not, hard conversations. And we have information on our website that will go into more detail than what I'm about to say. So I encourage you to look for that. But I think it is, again, involving them, asking where they feel like they're at. What do they feel like they can do? Would they like help? Instead of saying you need help, I don't think you can do this anymore. Asking them, would they like help? Would it be helpful if, again, this is a third party, again, bringing that mediator in if it's not good for it to come from you, a friend, a trusted person, but hey, how would you feel if I did this? Would that, would you be upset by that? Or do you feel like this is something that you want to continue doing? And let them kind of sit with the idea for a little bit. Don't rush into it. And again, having conversations, the earlier the better, before, don't wait till that critical, like it's now or never time to have the conversations. So I think the best, other than kind of, there are different scripts and tools that you can look at, but starting early before it is critical, getting them used to the idea of maybe this being something that's going to happen, is really important. And then that gives them time to come to it on their own, and then be able to ask for help rather than you having to just take over.
Right. And also remember your words matter.
Yeah.
And so, before you have the conversation, think about what you're going to say. And, you don't want to go in and say, Mom, you just can't do your checkbook anymore. And you're just making this all a big mess. I'm going to take it over.
Yeah.
Well, you're attacking, Mom feels like you're attacking her, but by saying, Mom, I've noticed that you might be having some issues with this. Would it be okay if I helped you?
Yeah.
And so, and maybe it's baby steps leading into it. Your end goal is, I'm going to be handling Mom's banking for her because she's not able to do it anymore. Okay, well, let's start small.
Yes.
Mom, would you like me to make a deposit for you? I'm going to be going by the bank.
Yes. The incremental changes really help.
Yeah.
And being of service, not taking over.
Right. Yeah. None of us want to admit that we can't do something. Where deep down we are all animals. We do not want to be the gazelle that's limping on the Serengeti in front of the lion.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going to deny that we need help for as long as we can. In fact, some person is asking here specifically, what do I do? We can't leave Mom alone, yet we need some respite time, but she won't let anybody else come in and sit with her.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do we convince her that that's okay?
So I'm going to actually toss, Rob, you've worked with so many caregivers and you've seen this so often. I would love first to hear from you, because sometimes you have to be really honest with Mom and Dad and say, I need a break. I need this for me. I really do. Mom, I really need to get this done. I really want to, whatever you need your time to do. Like, you know what? My husband and I haven't had dinner together in 2 months. And this would be really important for us. Would you mind, if someone comes over so we can do this again, making it about them helping you. I just really want to get my nails done, whatever it is that you need to do.
Yeah.
Mom, this would be helpful. So what do you do if she says no? No.
Well, most 9 times out of 10, they're not going to say no. They're going to understand if you approach it from that side. What they might do is say, oh, I'll be fine by myself. You go, I'll be fine by myself. Well, they're not going to be. So, maybe say, Mom, I really need to do this. Is it okay if Janice from next door comes over to visit with you while I do this? She's been wanting to come and talk with you and spend some time with you, and this will give me an opportunity to go do that while she's here. Is that okay? So, instead of saying, Mom, someone's going to come watch you while I'm gone, make it so that it's something that is participatory for your loved one that they would enjoy doing. The minister wants to stop by and visit with you. They haven't seen you in so long. Great. The minister's going to come. I'm going to go get my nails done. I'm going to run to HEB. I'm going to do what I need to do. So sometimes you have to package it in a way that they're going to accept it. Just to that, one person is saying that they have a paraplegic friend that they go and stay with so that their spouse can go and take a little bit of time. And so when his wife needs to go to work, they go over and spend some time and visit. It makes his friend feel very special because they came to visit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a great way of looking at it, is how do we think from Mom's perspective? How do I make this in a way that's not going to make her offended, feel put upon, feel less than she is?
Mm-hmm.
Because there are a lot of people who have memory loss and dementia that do not understand that they have memory loss dementia.
Mhm.
They don't understand that they can't do the finances. They don't understand that they can't do these things. They are completely unaware of their medical issues. And so instead of saying, Mom, you have this issue, you can't do this, it's better to just say, Mom, I need to run, go do this. Is it okay if
Yeah.
Janice comes over and visits with you? Or not even put that into it, just, hey, Janice said she'd like to come over and visit with you tomorrow afternoon. Is that all right? Sure, I'd love to see her. Awesome. While she's here, I'm going to run to the store, but she'll be here to have a great visit with you.
Yeah.
And then just take the whole purpose out of it from Mom so that she's not feeling like, oh, you're dumping
Yeah.
on this person.
Yeah. That is a great, it's a social time for them
Yeah,
rather than they're being babysat, because no grown up wants to feel like they're being babysat.
exactly. Exactly.
And real
Um,
quick, I know time is running out. I did see a comment about getting a hard copy of the Prepare to Care Guide. And so I wanted to give a phone number for our caregiver support line for folks real quick, because I know we're getting close to the half-hour mark. And that number, and I'll say it twice, and Rob, maybe we can in the follow up. But it's 877 333 5885. And this is a toll-free caregiver support line. It's 877 333 5885. If you call that number and request a guide,
Terrific. I also just put it into the chat, and we will make sure that we also include that when we send you all of the resources on Monday. We will include that on the list of everything that we are going to send you. We're also, I didn't mention, but we're going to send everybody resources for the Central Texas area. In addition to the program, we're going to send you a PDF of resources that are available. Included in that are the respites that are available in Central Texas and the support groups. We know that with COVID, a lot of in-person is not happening right now, but there are just tons of virtual support groups. And those are such an important thing for us as caregivers to be able to take advantage of. As Jessica mentioned, having another caregiver that you can say, Mom's doing this and it's making me crazy. And someone else says, that happened to me too, here's what I did. Or having just that sounding wall of saying, like we have done today, what do you do in this situation? What do you do when your sister keeps calling you and berating you because you're doing everything wrong? Oh, I had that happen to me. Here's what I did. And just having those people who are going through this journey, just like you are, to be able to talk to. Sometimes just being able to get it out. The person who said, I like listening to songs that give me memories that make me cry. Just to get it out is so important. So being able to participate in support groups is very important. AARP has a big list of them on their website as well, and they're specific to the regions. So take advantage of those opportunities. Most importantly, no matter where you are in your journey, you're going to come up against things that you're not prepared for. That's just the way this is. And there are going to be questions that you have that you may not have the answers for. That's why organizations like AARP Texas exist, why Age of Central Texas is here, why the Area Agency on Aging exists, why you have Riverbend Church with their tremendous caregiver support programming. Cindy Cummings, who is such a tremendous wealth of information and knowledge in the community. All of us are here to help you in your journey, and we're here to do it for free to help you. That's why we do this, because we have a calling to help other caregivers. Most of us are caregivers ourselves. We're going through that same journey or have been through that journey. So remember, there is never, ever any shame in asking for help. All of us will need it at some point in our life. So be sure and reach out and ask for it, because we're here to help you out. Wouldn't you agree, Jessica?
Absolutely. And we are so fortunate in Central Texas to have Age of Central Texas. They are my favorite organization in the area because they do so much and will really help you navigate this journey.
Well, we've got some tremendous partners in the community as well, such as AARP, Area Aging. There are a lot of great organizations here with tremendous resources, and we can help connect you to the ones that can help you with your specific needs. There were some specific questions that we're going to contact you directly.
Great.
Caregivers that are watching, that we're going to answer those for you with your specific needs that we just didn't want to air any dirty laundry in the session. So we're going to contact you directly with those answers. But I want to say thank you so much, Jessica, for spending this time with us this morning and helping share some thoughts and ideas and experiences. We know that caregiving is a very difficult thing, but you're right, it has so many tremendous rewards. It is one of the greatest things that we get to do as children and parents, that we get to spend so much wonderful time with people that we love and make such a great difference in their life. Yes, it is difficult. Yes, it has its road bumps, but we can make it something that brings us joy. And so I appreciate, Jessica, you sharing with us all the great information today.
And can I end with, I know we're running out of time, but I want to end with a story, because I think there is humor. There's a time to find humor in all of this. And sometimes it doesn't seem funny in the moment, but this was not that long ago. My parents needed some help. Something needed to be fixed on their roof. And my mother, her name is Robin, and my father is Joe. And she said, Joe's, so-and-so is coming over to fix this thing on the roof that needs to be done. What my father heard was, Joe, I need you to get up on the roof and fix this thing that needs to be done. And so my mom is doing some yard work, and she hears, Robin, I need help. And she looks up, and my dad is sitting on the roof, and he's not sure why he's there or how he's going to get down. Now, in the moment, it was not funny, but now we just laugh hysterically when we hear that story of dad sitting on the roof going, now, why am I up here again? And how am I going to get down? And again, in the moment, it was a little like, mom's like, how the hell am I going to get him off the roof? But they did, and he was fine. But it's finding those moments of just finding funny in things that aren't always, and finding humor and finding joy looking back. And so I hope you all can do that.
That is so important. Yes, thank you so much for that. I want to say thank you to Cindy Cummings for being our sponsor for this whole week. She and her team are a tremendous resource to our community, and we appreciate them so much. And most importantly, to Sharon Butler and everyone over at Riverbend Church for having created this conference 8 years ago and continuing it. It is such a wonderful resource for our community, and it is very, very much appreciated. And all of those efforts are definitely treasured. We thank you so much for spending your morning with us, spending your week with us. We hope that we have been a benefit to you in your caregiving journey. Always remember, you can reach out to us at any time, to any of the folks that have been a part of this conference, and we're here to help you out. On Monday, watch for that email that's coming that will have all of your resources and your links, and also the survey. And be sure and fill out the, go online, complete the survey for us. It'll only take you just a couple minutes, but it is very vital for us to be able to plan for next year. On behalf of Age of Central Texas, Riverbend Church, AARP, and everyone who's been a part of this today, we thank you so very much. We hope that you have a wonderful weekend. And again, let us know anytime we can be helpful to you in your caregiving journey. We hope you have a wonderful and blessed rest of your day. Bye-bye.